This afternoon, the committee of 4 men and 1 fiercely loyal dog convened, slightly delayed due to the unfortunate events at Molineux Stadium. Given emotional damage and the lack of preparation time, we couldn't meet in person, so instead we did what all serious football institutions do in times of crisis. We opened Microsoft Teams. Cameras on, mics muted, tensions high. Throughout the meeting, certain committee members seized the opportunity to poke fun at me about Arsenal drawing with last place Wolves, a team we conveniently eliminated from the tiers way back in December. Spreadsheets were shared, screenshots were presented, receipts were pulled up. It was ruthless. Except for the dog. The dog barked in my defense. Loyalty like that cannot be taught, and despite the remote format, the slander, and the emotional recovery process, we toiled and burned the late afternoon oil to bring you this week's ranking. So without further ado, it is time for Anton's Tiers. Hello everybody and welcome along to Fire Them Cannons for this week's edition of Anton's Tiers. And yes, you can get out of the way. Arsenal, we're bottling it. We drew with Wolves after drawing with Brentford, but the Wolves won, man. That broke a lot of people, a lot of Arsenal fans. That, yeah, it's not good. I had to bring it up because this is our channel. We spoke about last night. We had a post-game show, and on the post-game show, I said we can't allow this football club's results to dictate if the show goes on this channel. It's just not the way we're going to roll here. So I'm here. I'm here to face the music. We don't skip on the tiers just because Arsenal's not doing well. I have to be honest with my audience. There's integrity that goes along with the job. But make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you are subscribing to Anton's Tiers. And I mean to Hotsport. I mean, if you want to watch Anton's Tiers. But yeah, like, toughy this morning for me. Absolutely. So we'll keep going on. We'll do what we do. And yeah, opening acknowledgement right here to Wolves. Got a point at home against my Gunners. They got to 10 points on the season. However, as discussed on the post-game show, we do not remove eliminations from anybody, especially considering we know, regardless of the fact that they took points off of us, they are going to go down in the Premier League this year. Let's be honest. Let's move to the next spot of the north. Speaking of teams, by the way, Burnley also eliminated last week. But speaking of teams that could be on the fringes of it, Nottingham Forest is on the bottom row. Should be eliminated. Now, interesting. According to the spreadsheets in our formula and our calculations, Nottingham Forest technically are ranked lower than Burnley in our overall rankings. All the metrics are there for Nottingham Forest to be a relegation team, despite not currently being in the relegation zone. They have had, this is the crazy part, right? The second easiest schedule in the entire Premier League through 26 games. Which means through the final 12 games, it's the hardest schedule remaining. So, second hardest schedule remaining. So the road forward is not easy. The statistical metrics are not good. They have scored the second least amount of goals in the entire Premier League. Their goal difference is negative 13. And yeah, they are only 3 points clear of the relegation zone over West Ham, who I believe are in better form at the moment. And all points point to Nottingham Forest going down. Let's not to mention the fact, the very big fact, which by the way leads into this. They have sacked now their third manager this season. Nuno, gone. Ange, gone. And now Sean Dyche is gone. And who is the magical replacement that Marinakis has decided to hire to try to save them in trouble. Pereira. Is it Andreas Pereira? What's the name of the Wolves man? It's wait. What's his name again? Vito Pereira. Isn't it Vito Pereira? The manager of Nottingham Forest. Yeah, Vitor Pereira. That's right. Here you go. The very same man who's got Wolves, eliminated Wolves, to one of the worst starts in the history of the Premier League, and basically has resulted in their struggle. Rob Edwards has helped them quite just a tad. Like they just changed from record-breaking shit start to the Premier League season to potentially might not be Derby. That's the solution for Nottingham Forest. That just seems to me, when I saw that, that's got relegation all over it. Let's see. Next up, though, Iron Resistance. West Ham, big ups to West Ham. You know, they are in the relegation zone, but they are coming to life and they are finding their feet now. They are battling. They won that very all-important game. By the way, they should have beat Chelsea. But then they rebounded with that all-important game away at Turf Moor, which is huge in the relegation fight. But then, you know, Man United came to town, by the way, with high hopes of a haircut for a certain United strand. And West Ham took the lead, had other plans. They took the lead instead. Yeah, there was a late equalizer from Sesko, but they hold on to a very, very vital point. And now they are 3 points behind a Nottingham Forest team that I think is trending down. I think by the end of the season, I don't actually expect... I mean, it could happen. There are many... That's one of the reasons why I haven't eliminated any of these teams from the tiers, which is... That's kind of the reason why Nottingham Forest aren't in the eliminated category. They kind of skipped it by a week. And the eliminated category goes a little bit differently in terms of... It goes more based on points, like, do I see a path back? They're still obviously not in the relegation zone, so I can't eliminate them. And neither could I eliminate West Ham, but West Ham looked close to done a few weeks ago, and now they're alive, and they are threatening a few teams above them. Let's move on to some of those teams, and you're going to be asking me, where is Tottenham in this? Because Tottenham at the moment, or where are they in the table? 16th, 2 points ahead of Nottingham Forest. But 1 point ahead of Tottenham is Leeds, the same Leeds team that I've praised in recent weeks for being upstart and being good. And by the way, came back from a 2-0 lead against Chelsea. The tier list I've called here is called sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. I just went with sometimes maybe good. That's why I went with Leeds first, because for the rest of them, Crystal Palace, talking about bottling 2-0 leads, it's going to be a theme. Chelsea bottled 2-0 lead to Leeds. Crystal Palace bottled a 2-0 lead at Selhurst Park to Burnley. 2-0 up and lost 3-2 before halftime. Congratulations to Strand Larson. He got out of the relegation zone with Wolves. The less I say about that, the better. Scored 2 goals, actually. His first 2 goals were Crystal Palace. But then they dropped the ball. Fulham absolutely got steamrolled over by Man City. Here you go. Gone are the Fulham that has been a pain in the ass for many teams this season. Go to the Etihad, and City are out of sight before halftime. Sometimes maybe a shit. And then there's Sunderland, who for the first time this season lost a home game to Liverpool. A Liverpool team that's been lifeless for much of the year, that couldn't help me out against Man City the week before, and then go to do that in the Stadium of Light. The only one of these teams that come out of this without any shame this week is Leeds. And Leeds have to be here because they are only 1 point above Nottingham Forest, who I have as should be eliminated. Next up, not what it looks like. And I'm saying league position versus position on Anton's tiers. And, you know, made lots of jokes about Tottenham in the relegation zone over many of these podcasts, as we have evidence in the past. But let's be serious when I really, really, really have to put my neck on the line and really, really, really have to do these tiers with seriousness. And again, I have a standard to uphold, a truth-telling aspect to uphold, a data-driven truth. Tottenham probably aren't going to go down. So right now, I have Tottenham probably in this tier, which is... Wait, we're on the 4th from bottom tier, so probably about the 6th tier. On this same tier is Everton, who are on 37 points, 8 points above Tottenham in 8th place. Also on the same tier is Brighton, who are in 14th place on 31 points, 2 points ahead of Spurs. And of course, Spurs themselves. All different parts of the table. But this is kind of where I feel like at the end of the season, these teams are all going to end up and be bunched together. Remember, the tiers are always a reflection of how I feel the table will look like at the end of the year based on the current given information that we have today. I don't think Tottenham's going to go down. Now, by the way, another managerial sacking. Thomas Frank is out. Igor Tudor is in. Not a very inspirational hire given his track record. You know? So, but nonetheless, I do believe Tottenham's squad quality overall is good enough. Now, partially, I'm going to be honest. For the sake of honesty, this week of all weeks was not the week that I was going to shit on my big rivals. Maybe next week, if we do something against them and we win the North London derby, maybe then I'll do that, because I've had enough pain I've been through the last week in terms of Premier League results. I'm not going to risk it at all. I've already just been bitten by the eliminated Wolves. So all respect go to Tottenham. They are a great team, Big Six. They're not going down this year. No way, no how. They're just too big. They're just too big to go down. Let's be serious. Let's move up. Back on track. Speaking of Tottenham, do you see what Newcastle did to Spurs? By the way, not only did they beat Spurs, so for everybody who's like thinking that Newcastle's on this down, by the way, they do have some injuries like Bruno and stuff. And the Tonali stuff we were talking about in the last tiers about him potentially wanting to leave. They go to White Hart Lane or whatever to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, get a win there. Then in the cup, they play Aston Villa. That's a big, big cup tie. Beat Aston Villa. Huge. And then go to Karabag and absolutely demolish them and basically put one foot into the last 16 of the Champions League. A good week. I wouldn't take the circumstances, but I would take the 3 wins in 3 different competitions. Absolutely. Bite your hand off for that. Maybe Eddie Howe is saving his job. We'll see. I still think that he needs to win the FA Cup, really, at this point, I think. Or that league position is going to have to get back up there where they can be back in Europe in some form. Because right now where they are sitting on the table is not acceptable, but it's been a good week. They're now back in 10th. Currently, right now, by the way, out of the Europa League place right now, which is Liverpool on 42 points. They're 6 points off of Liverpool. And off of Brentford, they are 4 points off of Brentford for the Conference League spot. And in terms of Champions League, for all of those of you guys who are curious, Chelsea on 44 points. That's 8 points. It's a bit far out for Newcastle Champions League. But I think, Liverpool, considering Liverpool's team in 6 is crazy, but Conference League is achievable. Given the way Liverpool's form has been overall this year, wouldn't rule out the Europa League either. So we'll have to see. But I do think that Newcastle are back on track. By the way, up next for them is yet another trip to the Etihad Stadium. Please, oh please, oh please, continue this good form into the week. Honestly, that would be the best thing ever for me. That would make life feel so much better. To be honest, it just would. Please, I love Newcastle. Love the tune. Moving on. Cherry on top. The good form keeps rolling on for Brentford. Brentford went too early for Bournemouth. That's 3 wins in their last 5. By the way, unbeaten in that period. I think they're unbeaten since Arsenal beat them at the start of the year, I think. A win against Everton, I believe away from home. Again, Everton got sent down to 10 men, but Bournemouth took care of their business. Yeah, at Hill Dickinson Stadium. That's a good away win for a Bournemouth. They go down early. By the way, they go down to 10 men Everton after Bournemouth take the lead. But Ryan, man, he's come in and replaced Semenyo right away, man. The impact is there. Maybe there's something going on there with Raiola. Say, I mean, maybe Arteta can learn from Raiola in terms of how to, coach some wingers. Again, I mean, Adley, of course, scores in that game as well. Brentford are rolling, man. They are rolling. Outside, I think they're one of the most informed teams in the Premier League right now. Am I going to just fact check that for a sec? Let's take a look. No, there are a few teams that are better form than them. Chelsea, Man United are both on way better form. But they're up there. They're not far off. In fact, with a win, they would be really, really up there. Got better form than Arsenal, to be bet. That's for sure. Anyway, let's move up to the next tier, shall we? Too close to call. And I'm talking about the levels between these 3 teams. Let's talk about Brentford. Let's get that one out of the way first. Because we talked about Wolves. We'll talk about Brentford. Their most recent Premier League result was also a draw against Arsenal. And boy, are they... I've been talking about it all year. And had I had time to put upset alert, I'm going to be honest, I would have put us on it. But yeah, those fixtures rolled around way quick from that weekend to that midweek. It's because of the FA Cup. But, they go ahead, they outfought us in every way. You've seen all the things I have to say across this network about that game. And just got to say, Brentford away this year, just as difficult as Stamford Bridge away and as Anfield away. Like, I'm going to be perfectly honest, this season, the table doesn't lie, even though the table is not the tiers, so I don't use the table to determine the tiers. 4 points separate these 4 teams. But I actually think, despite the severe lack of talent in the Brentford team, you can't tell on the pitch. In fact, I think that Brentford has increased throughout this as the season has gone on in terms of their quality. Those players have actually gotten better than I initially thought. Like, I didn't think they had an Igor Thiago. I didn't see him in my spreadsheets or anything like that as being this freak that he's become. Didn't see it. I saw the players go out and I was like, But they have definitely raised their levels. Liverpool's levels have dropped massively, and Chelsea are stagnating, and they've always kind of been at this level. True. And it almost feel like these 3 teams, they've been stuck in the same kind of bracket for a while, and I know, Chelsea fans and Liverpool fans hate it. They hate that they're this close. I've heard it in match reactions. Both of them at different times. Oh, we've got less points than Brentford. Now both of them have both more points than Brentford. Thank you very much. You know, even though we did draw, we helped you lot a lot. Even though Liverpool didn't deserve it. So yeah, there's not. I can separate them as much. Liverpool, big win. You know, at Stadium of Light. By the way, I do need to congratulate them for that. But let's see some consistency. That's the one thing. You know, Brentford's being as inconsistent as they are is more consistent than they've been before. Does that make sense? But for Chelsea and for Liverpool especially, it's way off the mark. And for Chelsea, yeah, it puts you in the Brentford category. That's kind of where you guys are this year, right? And I'm going to say it now. I'm going to sound like a rattled Arsenal fan, and maybe I am to an extent because, you know, but your teams are laughing at my club today, Chelsea. Who bottled the 2-0 lead last week? What, because your standards are so low that we can't laugh at you for it? At least we're top of the league still. Whoa, rival fans are absolutely loving that. But anyway, we'll get to that discussion momentarily. Let's move on. Best of the rest. Now, Man United did, their 4-game winning streak did come to an end. And all of a sudden, just like every club, just like my fans, you know, we're good one day, we're great the next. We're shit one day, we're great the next. After a 4-game winning streak, everyone's going into meltdowns about United Strand. Wayne Rooney's even like, oh, you know, it's ridiculous. Make about football. This guy needs to just cut his hair already. Like, whatever. He's being a distraction. Like, bro, he's a guy who made a video on TikTok or on YouTube. Like, what is he got to do? Like, man, leave the poor kid alone, right? If he doesn't want to get a haircut, that's his business. But I thought that United showed great resilience. I think, you know, because of, again, the standards of Man United and, you know, they had just won 4 in a row, so they had all the chest, and I know the feeling. I've had the feeling for the majority of this year, you know, and it's deflating when you don't get anything, but they showed character. I thought that they were going to lose that game. Sesko pops up at the last minute, gets himself a point. Again, Man United are now top 4 in the league. They act like they're 10th. You know, they could have won 5 in a row. That is a big sign, honestly, of their progression. I think they're doing great. Aston Villa have been staying consistent all year and up with the big boys. They're on 50 points now. They're the half-century mark this season. Bounced back with a big win against Brighton at home. And now let's get into the top of the tiers. And yes, there's only room for one more tier because this is now the case in the Premier League. I can't even look. This is desperately familiar. I thought it was done. 2 weeks ago, we beat Sunderland. I was like, City's not going to Anfield and beating Liverpool. They did. They did that. I was like, okay, cool. They survived because it would have been done. It was on the floor there. Then they beat Fulham, but they should beat Fulham. And before it even started, my fans were melting down about bottling it. They threw it, they said the fucking word, and put it out into the universe. And I hated it because I as everybody knows who follows me here, I am about manifestation, and manifestation goes both ways. When you start using words, you're almost like the worst fears is going to happen. And as much as I try to push the other way, as much as I was saying, hey guys, we haven't even kicked the ball yet. What are we doing? We're worrying about Kai Havertz. That negative, that nervous energy seeps into the Arsenal locker room. And you could feel it in the Brentford game. We go ahead. We can't hold on to the lead for more than 5 minutes after Matchweek scored. Martinelli goes through on one-on-one on goal. And yes, I do think that a lot comes down to Mikel Arteta, but this is not the place for it. This is a brief rundown. This is the tiers. 1-1. Then we thought, okay, fine, whatever. We'll go play Wolves, get our 7-point lead back at least with a game in hand. 2-0 up today. Saka scores, by the way, really early. And Capier gives us the 2-0 lead. I'm like, that's it. Done. Dusted. All she wrote. Wasn't a great performance, but I'm like, you know what? We didn't have to exert too much in this game. Wolves just seem like they're just a really, really shit level. And all of a sudden, Hugo Bueno is fucking scoring a screamer. Raya had a howler of a day today. My defense, my top #1 defense in all of planet Earth, had a howler today across the board. My attack gets drawn out as well, even though they did get me 2 goals. But it's the defense, it's the midfield. Zubimendi had a bad game today. And Wolverhampton Wanderers. And now we are at, for all intents and purposes, because City had now have a game in hand at home against Crystal Palace, who are down at this sometimes maybe good. That's Fulham territory. 2 points. Back to where we were at the end of the year. Can Arsenal respond like we did in December? In terms of ticking along those wins. Because now we're back. Somehow, as far out as we end up kind of getting it throughout January, despite having only won 2 games in 7 matches. Or 3 games, really, in the month of January. In the last 8. Despite that, we're back. We were actually had a big lead, but now we're back at 2, basically. Tottenham Hotspur, a desperate Tottenham Hotspur, is on the horizon for Arsenal. Now, City are going into a Newcastle team that's now found better form since the last time they played. But at home, and they can cut the lead to 2 points before we play Tottenham. This is the last straw. It's time to buck up. The last time I said that was post Aston Villa. And we did so. Slowly. We did it. Until City themselves went on a bad run. What needs to happen now, Arsenal, is we have to do what Man City did to us 2 seasons ago. Be incredibly annoying to teams wanting us to bottle it and close the lid on the bottle. This is enough. This should be the wake-up call. Of all wake-up calls, you cannot half-ass any game in the Premier League. And now here we are. It's depressingly familiar, but I still believe in my heart I'm going to be stubborn. I'm going to be like the Pharaoh and harden my heart. Arsenal's still going to win the Premier League until further notice. Football is a funny sport. It swings momentums. It's now time for it to swing in our momentum. It's swing in our direction. And we have got to win the North London derby by hook or by crook. I want an intense blood, sweat, and tears effort where we give everything for the badge away at the enemy. Because right now, we are now back at 2 teams at the top of the tiers. As hard as it is for me to say. And well done to City. I still think, by the way, City don't have enough control of the games either. But now our element of control has gone out, which is what is making me feel this way right now. It's very foreign feeling for this year. Familiar feeling from past. But this year, I expected better, a higher standard from this team. I should have said that on the terrace, but I didn't. Because I'm too proud. And that is Anton's Tiers today, or this week, heading into match day 27. Boys, let me know, boys and girls, because I know I got plenty of viewers who are the female variety. Big up to women everywhere. Big up to my women followers on the FTC. Let me know what you guys think. I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for not amongst, because this is an Arsenal channel, not putting Tottenham like at the bottom of the tiers or close to the bottom of the tiers, or at least at the sometimes maybe good tier, maybe like. It's just my pure honesty, guys. It's just my pure honesty. Let me know anything else. Should also be behind City in the tiers. Am I being too nice? So that's actually the question of the day. Am I? Very interesting thoughts. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I read every single message. I will either like or reply to whatever you say, depending on what you say. But I'm very keen to hear your feedback, as always. I know I'll hear Jake's feedback on the tiers. Anyway, guys, I will be back tomorrow with Under Pressure, so look forward for that. We will be having some shows again over the weekend. And until next time, guys, Anton out.